them, leaving us, the rulers of the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the WaitAMinuteShow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned into
It's the Wait a Minute Show.
And my man Lopan is in here as well. Indeed. So we are, before I get into this King of the Money Jungle, as you heard on the last drop, the Wait a Minute Show, we also do a show. Shouts out to Doug and Ryan Stewart, the Two Live Stews Radio, for letting me do a show here. But I also do a show on Saturdays as well. As you heard, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can go to the WaitAMinuteShow.com and listen to that show and listen to previous episodes. Also, you can get yourself Wait a Minute Show t-shirts as well there. And that show, a little bit different than tonight. I do double duty, so I do on the website, but also broadcast from Facebook Live. So you can actually watch the show if you so choose to. So moving on, we're going to get into this King of the Money Jungle. So, if you haven't heard, Detroit Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford, basically has told the Lions to show him the money, and that's exactly what they did. This brother has gotten paid again. And when I say again, the reason I say again is because Matthew Stafford was the last number one overall pick to get paid a lot of upfront money off of potential before they start changing the structure and they came out with the rookie wage schedule, or not schedule, rookie wage payment. So he was one of those guys that got the $50 million and, and all that stuff. And everyone was making, deservedly so, because it was guys that was getting paid off of potential. And you had veterans that was proving themselves year in, year out, and they weren't getting that type of money. So it needed to be done, but Matthew Stafford was the last person to get that. And now he is the first person, again, to be the highest paid. Well, not the first person, but again, he's the quarterback of the Detroit Lions that got to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Show me the money! Now, the question is that I'm sure everyone is debating about, don't like, or whatever it is Matthew Stafford worth that? Now, the deal is $135 million. It's an extension, ladies and gentlemen. So let me say that. He's still under contract, so when he finish up, he gets an extension of 5 years, $135 million, where he gets $92 million in guarantees, which basically pays him $27 million per year. And that is a whole $2 million more than the previous highest paid player, quarterback, whatever you want to call it, in Derek Carr. We saw this coming. I told y'all this was coming. I told people I know, Matthew Stafford is about to get that money. Is he worth it? Is he worth it? That remains to be seen. He got a lot of explaining to do. No, not a lot of explaining. He got a lot of winning to do. That's what he needs to do. So whether he's worth it or not, I can tell you right now, and for those who don't know, I'm a Lions fan. So I'm speaking about this as a Lions fan. I think we all know Matthew Stafford, as far as like worth it, league-wise, no. To the Lions, yes. I've always talked about it's not what you're worth is how much is what you negotiate. And this is what he negotiated, and he found someone that was going to pay him that. Now, he could have got this with a few other teams. Don't get me wrong. It's not just the Lions. Other people would have paid, the Jets would have paid him. I'm pretty sure the Jaguars would have paid him. The Browns, maybe they might have would have just said, we'll roll with Deshaun Kaiser. But there's a lot of teams that would have paid him this type of money. But the Lions, as far as check it out, their quarterback history, he is by far the best quarterback that they've had. And the last thing you want to do is lose him. Last year, they made the playoffs without Calvin Johnson. I'm going to say that again. Last year, they made the playoffs without Calvin Johnson. Everyone said the Detroit Lions was in trouble. However way they won a lot of comeback games. A win is a win, so you can't knock that. But they made the playoffs without Calvin Johnson. That says something. Matt has changed up, his thought process, his decision making. He's cut out a lot of his interceptions. He had only 13 last year. So that's a lot better. Or actually 10, I'm sorry. The previous year he had 13. So is he worth it? In comparison to other quarterbacks, no. But his worth to the Detroit Lions, yes. So I can't hate on that. The other flip side of that, though, is that now you done paid his brother. Will you have any money for anyone else? The Detroit Lions defense is still, it's not good. It's not good. They just lost Hyder, and Ziggy Ansah is coming off a horrible year, from last year. So they got some areas that they need to address. Secondary, they got some areas they need to address. Paying him this money may hinder that. May hinder getting free agents. It's already hard to get free agents to come there now, but you may hinder getting any free agents, big time free agents. You don't need that many. You only need one or two. You don't need to go through 8 or 9, and all that stuff. But Matthew Stafford has basically continued the process for what was the inevitable anyway. All these other quarterbacks that's lined up, they are right now, I hope you can hear this, they are rubbing their hands together because they're like, yes, get that money, Matt, because now I'm right behind you. You got next year, you got Kirk Cousins. We all know he's going to leave Washington. He's going to go to San Francisco. San Francisco got money to pay him. He will probably get money just like Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford, again, he hasn't won. I know everything. He hasn't won a playoff game, but he has had the Lions in the playoffs 3 years since he's been there. That's an accomplishment. That's something. It's not Brady. It's not Rodgers or anything like that. I get that. But you line it up for these other guys like Kirk Cousins that's coming down the pipe. You line it up for, a guy like Matt Ryan. He's coming up. He's going to be looking to get paid. And last but not least, Aaron Rodgers is coming up in 2 years. Aaron Rodgers, I'm going to say it right now. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the first quarterback that gets paid $30 million. I expect those other two quarterbacks probably to beat Matt by, a mil. And then the next one by $2 million, and then it leaves it up for Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers is in the news talking about this doesn't change anything. You know why it doesn't change anything? Because Aaron Rodgers still knows he's better than Matthew Stafford. He was like, I'm still the best quarterback in the league. He just got the highest pay. My money's coming. My money's coming. Don't worry about that. They gonna show me the money, So Matthew Stafford, congratulations. But now that you're the highest paid, I'm telling you right now, we want playoffs, and we want a playoff win, and we want a first round bye, and we want the NFC Championship game. That is what you get when you're the highest paid. We have to start setting the expectations high for these guys that's making this money. They do themselves, but as fans, we have to do that as well. So, in the chat room, Mocha Bella is already talking trash. She said the Lions is going to win 2 games this year. Mocha Bella, I don't even see how you're coming up with that math of 2 games when they won 9, the previous year. I tried to be nice, and I still will be nice about your Dolphins. Now, I got your Dolphins winning. But you don't believe in that as well, Mocha. So, before I get on your Dolphins, I'm going to lay off. But 2 wins for the Lions, that's a joke. They're going to the playoffs again, and I predict they're probably going to get about 10 wins. 10 wins. I can see them going 10-6. It won't be easy, but I can see them going 10-6, on there. So, Mocha Bell, leave the Detroit Lions alone. We already got enough problems as it is. We endured a 0-16 season, and we haven't had that much success, so leave us alone. Leave Matthew Stafford alone. So Sluggo said, definitely not worth the money. The money is tied up to a player who can't carry the team. Not to mention the other position groups will suffer. So that Sluggo is tapping into what we were just talking about. Again, he said he's not worth the money. He's worth the money to the Detroit Lions, but I get where you're going with that, Sluggo, as far as like carrying a team. Now, I will say Matthew Stafford carried that team. There was a lot of injuries that Detroit had last year, if you remember right, on the defensive side and the offensive side. And he had a new guy in Marvin Jones who was still learning the system. And he got 9 wins. They fell apart at the end because they were up by 3 games. If they even win 2 of those last 3, we're talking about 11-5. No one had them. Remember, again, ladies and gentlemen, he got them to the playoffs without Calvin Johnson. I can tell you right now, if people had to put out a bet, if Vegas had to put out a bet, and they probably did, of will Matthew Stafford lead the Lions to the playoffs without Calvin Johnson, everybody would have took that bet. They would have been like, there's no way Matthew Stafford's going to get to the playoffs without Calvin Johnson. And he proved it wrong. Yes, Mocha, I said your Dolphins are going to be 11-5. Book it. Don't get me started, Mocha, because I'm telling you, I have Lopan come out here and put you in check. Indeed. Yeah. So let's not go there. But where we're going to go to another brother that's in the NFL, and he's in the news for a little bit of the wrong reasons again, and that is linebacker Vontaze Burfict for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, he was initially issued a 5-game suspension, which has just been reduced to 3 games for what they call an illegal hit. And I'm lost, on this. So with the 5 games, when they said he's a repeat offender, so I get that. What he did, I looked and I saw the hit. So Anthony Sherman, fullback for the Kansas City Chiefs, was coming out of the backfield, and whoever the quarterback was, I wasn't paying attention. It might have been Alex Smith at that point, was not throwing a 5-yard pass. It was obvious that he was going down the field, which he did, but Vontaze decided to take it upon himself to lay the wood to Anthony Sherman. Now, he hit him with his shoulder into his chest, but the whole thing about it is that Anthony Sherman wasn't even part of the play, had nothing to do with it, and you're out there just hitting folks. So your reputation has preceded you, and they gave you 5 games. A lot of people was calling it a dirty hit. I wouldn't call it a dirty hit. I'm not saying dirty because I think it was an unnecessary hit. To me, there was nothing that warranted Vontaze to hit this dude, to lay him out, or whatever. You're not going to convince me otherwise. So I think it's unnecessary. But a dirty hit, no, I'm not going to call it a dirty hit because he didn't hit the guy in his knees. He didn't get to hit the guy in his head or anything like that. He hit him in the chest. So he still could have injured him. He still could have hurt him and maybe put him out a few games or anything like that and cost him maybe a spot on the roster. That's more what I'm thinking, as far as like with an unnecessary hit, on it. But Vontaze, they gave you 5 games. They didn't give you 5 games right off the bat. They gave you 5 games because of previous activity. They will always go back to the Antonio Brown hit. They will always go back to any other hit that you've been suspended for. I think he's been suspended 3 times, at this point. So you're not going to catch a break.